So many of our favorites to watch. Oh look, now they're being bashed. I guess that's what we should expect on the Bullied Nostalgia Podcast. So many of our favorites to watch.
Oh, look, now they're being bashed.
I guess that's what we should expect on Chance's favorite episode of the podcast.
Kill me.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Me Bullying My Family, the podcast. Typically, in the Bullied Nostalgia Podcast, we look back at things that John and I loved growing up, and then Chance and Kai get an opportunity to make fun of them. However, this year when we were watching the Double Dragon episode, Eric brought up an actor who we all recognize from a movie that I used to torture my boys half a decade ago. So what we're going to do is we've come back and we're going to watch that movie and talk about it tonight. But before we get into that, I'm joined by Kylan.
Hi.
John.
Hello.
And Chance.
I hate it here.
And I'm Tim. So, if you want to email us and tell us how much you love this movie, you can find us at bulliedpod@gmail.com. But without further ado, let's get into it. The movie we watched tonight, John, was what?
Oh, we haven't said the name of the movie
We
yet?
haven't said the name of the movie yet.
The movie is Disney Channel's The Descendants.
This is by far the newest movie we've talked about on our podcast. It's from 2015.
I just want to make the claim that if this is a show about watching old movies and talking about how bad they are, and yet we're watching a movie that's only 8 years old, that should speak to the credibility of this movie being awful.
Chance said a lot of big words for saying, I don't like being here. So.
That too.
We watch movies that we have nostalgia for, and I can tell you that this brought back a lot of great memories.
I don't think that's the point of the show.
So, let's give some context. Descendants is a movie from the Disney Channel about the children of famous Disney characters. You've got Beauty and the Beast's son. You've got Maleficent's daughter. You've got Jafar's son. You've got Cruella de Vil's son.
And so the heroes of those Disney movies have imprisoned all of them on an island.
Yes. So essentially, when Beauty and the Beast finally got married, they segregated all the villains in Disneyland to an island and then put a magical force field over that island so they don't get Wi-Fi. And they've been stuck living there for 20 years. In that time, most of them have had kids, because what else is there to do when you don't have Wi-Fi?
Gang violence.
And now we pick up when their kids are teenagers, and the kids of the villains get an opportunity to make their own futures, and they're allowed to leave the island, but there's still all the influence and the upbringing from villains that's affecting their judgment and who they are. I'm going to start by talking a little bit about what this movie is, and then Chance can get excited about all the things he wants to talk about.
Hold on, can we talk about why we watched this movie in the first place?
I mentioned this already. I think you were asleep already. In the Double Dragon episode, Eric brought...
No, I mean, why did we watch it the first time?
We would have watched this probably in 2018.
Why?
I don't know.
That's the real answer. Sometimes our dad does things to us without actually knowing why he does.
I'm trying to piece together why we watched it the first time. I remember walking by a Disney store in a mall.
Yep.
And seeing this poster of these characters.
I have the same memories John does in West
Yeah.
Edmonton Mall. Throwback to our episode about Christmas in Wonderland. There used to be a Disney store, and when you'd go there, Descendants was huge. And so they had tons of standees and posters with these characters. I did not know who any of them were or what it was referencing until we decided to watch this movie. Why we decided to, I'm not entirely sure.
I think you got it in your feed and you just rented it.
Confession time. I love High School Musical. I was an adult with a son when High School Musical came out, but I still thought it was da bomb. So I think what happened was I probably got one of the songs from a Descendants movie in my YouTube feed. I saw it. We probably chased it down a rabbit hole, discovered that it was the next movie in line of the High School Musical type movies, and then I forced us to watch it.
Just so you viewers at home know, this is a trilogy.
And we've also seen all the other ones too.
After we saw
Are
the
you
first,
bragging?
after we saw
I'm
the first
asking
one,
for pity out to the void.
we kind of got hooked, and
We is a
Calling
strong word.
Australia the void.
So what had happened was we didn't start watching these until the second one had already been out for some time. We watched the first one and the second one directly after, and then the third one had been announced. But let's circle back to this one. This movie came out in 2015, and it did incredibly well. On a $12 million budget, it was made for the Disney Channel. So we don't know how much money it made by being viewed on TV, but we do know that its advertising budget was minimal because they essentially advertised for it on their own channel. What we can take away, though, is that in DVD sales alone, it made $21 million.
Good lord.
So that's a profit of a few million on DVD.
On DVD.
Which is the way that most people would not have seen it.
That's right, exactly. This was the 5th most watched TV movie of all time.
At the time.
And there's been more Descendants movies since then. But yes, Disney makes all of its money in merchandising. Who knows how much money they made off of this?
A ton.
But we know that tons of people watched it on TV and that it made a lot of money even just selling in DVDs. This was the biggest hit that Disney Channel had had since High School Musical. So Kenny Ortega was drafted to direct this movie. When he was brought on, it was not a musical. He decided to make it into a musical. Kenny Ortega is responsible for hits like Dirty Dancing, The Newsies, lots of 80s hits. And in the 2000s, he also created High School Musical. So he's the one who decided to make it into a musical. What is your favorite part about this movie, Chance?
I was born in the early 2000s, which means I was at the cusp of YTV Disney Channel perfection. But I was the kid who, if I was watching Adventure Time and iCarly showed up on my channel, I would click to a different one. I hated any live action things.
The
So
final
you're
fight
saying-
is all CG.
Yeah, you're saying your
Yeah,
favorite part
that's-
was the animated dragon?
What I'm trying to say is where my dad loves High School Musical, I do not.
You're implying that we like this movie. I don't think anybody likes this movie. We love this movie.
Tim kind of does.
Okay.
Yes, your dad likes this movie, Kylan. What I'm trying to say is that I despise made-for-TV movies. They're campy in a way I don't like. We just went over The Shadow, which was all campy. But I genuinely like that. This, I don't enjoy. I think it's annoying and frustrating.
Sorry, wasn't the question,
What's your
favorite part about the movie?
I think it's important people recognize how I feel about this.
I'm thinking that Chance is being really defensive about this movie. Like, there's some risk that some listener out there is going to question his cool factor.
Yeah, it's weird because
Oh.
he didn't do this for Dougal, which is arguably a
I
worse
did do
movie.
this for Dougal.
Dougal
Kylan.
is an infinitely worse movie than this.
Yeah, but when we joked about scenes that were funny bad in Dougal, you weren't like, I just want to make it clear. I hate this movie. This movie's bad, and it sucks. I want to be entirely transparent. There is nothing good about Dougal. You didn't say that.
Well, what I'm trying to point out
He's
is
just
that
trying to protect his image. He doesn't like the fact that 5 Australians thinks he likes Descendants.
what I'm trying to say, when I am bored, I go on Netflix and I scroll animated movies that I haven't seen. That's a medium form that I like and a genre I identify with. But
So when Dougal ruins your favorite genre, that's not that bad.
well, yes, it is a
And so when you find
terrible
a mediocre movie that is of a genre that you don't like, you need to make it entirely apparent.
No,
that
this
is
isn't
not-
a mediocre movie, Kylan. You just said yourself. I'm pretty sure no one here likes this movie.
Yeah, you guys cut me off. No one here likes this movie. We love this movie. You can listen back to the tapes. I said that. I said that. You guys just talked over me.
Oh my goodness.
So what you're saying, Chance, is if this was an animated movie, you'd be all over it.
Well, cause no, what I'm trying to say. Don't get excited.
Movie.
No, what I'm
That,
saying.
is there a real animated Descendants?
Hold on. Let me
Is
talk
that-
for. Let me
that's-
say one last thing. I feel about this movie the same way as if I was forced to watch a bad horror movie, regardless on if the movie isn't that terrible. Because I don't like the genre as a whole, that's going to make it even worse for me.
You don't like musicals?
I do like musicals. I don't like made-for-TV campy garbage.
Okay, so I've been sitting on some valuable information for some time. We watched Descendants 1, 2, and 3. What we did not know was
There's
that
so much.
there is so much.
There's like a drawn TV show. There seems to be 2 different animated TV. So
Right.
there's Wicked World.
There's Descendants School of Secrets, Descendants Wicked World, Descendants Under the Sea, Descendant
there's one-
Audrey's Royal Return,
And then there's a wedding.
Descendants Wicked Woods, and
Royal
the
Wedding.
animated movie Descendants The Royal Wedding.
And the art style in the Royal Wedding isn't that bad. Kind of shocking.
It came out in 2021 when we would have forgotten all about it. It's an animated movie, Chance.
Their
That-
faces are a little bit messed up, but other than that, the art style is pretty good.
So they
wait, hold on.
They're currently working on a 4th installment that is an offshoot. It's called The Rise of Red. Tragically, one of the 4 main characters of this movie series passed away in 2019. And so they decided that they weren't going to continue making these movies and dishonor that child by removing him from the cast. That's why Rise of Red is in the same universe, but follows different characters. It follows the son of the Queen of Hearts from Alice in Wonderland and the daughter of Cinderella. That one's coming in the next year or 2.
So wait, hold
Right
on.
now.
All these animated...
Not all of those are animated.
What are they?
Heard
Were
there's a
any of them
couple
live
books.
action?
Yes. A lot of them were between each movie. They would do like a 10-minute episode about each character at the school to show you what had happened between each movies. And then you'd see...
Some of these were released between the movies.
Exactly.
Okay, so we've got some more watching to do.
So,
I am so glad.
Interestingly
I move
enough,
away
there's
a day.
actually a Descendants musical.
A live action musical.
Yeah.
Has that been in Canada?
I don't think
John.
so.
Okay, So I guess we should talk about this movie.
Yes,
Okay,
let's.
So I think
I know that was my fault, but I got so excited when Chance said the only reason why he doesn't like these movies is because they're live action.
That's not what I said.
The
Well,
fourth
that's-
installment where the love interests get married is an animated movie.
Have we even talked about what happens in the plot?
yeah, we did.
No, I did. I
A
gave a
little
rough
bit.
outline about what it is, but you can tell us more.
So
Okay.
we start out on Dubstep Island.
I'm not talking about the movie now.
Core,
Tyler.
rotten to the core.
No,
core.
okay. The movie
Like
follows
the kids,
four
like-
characters:
like the
the
kids
son of
next
Jafar, the son of Cruella de Vil, the daughter of Maleficent, and the daughter of the evil queen from Snow White. The way it works is they are sent to this new school, and their job is to steal Fairy Godmother's wand. Because if they do, they can break down the barrier that keeps all the villains on their island, and everyone will be able to go free. However, all the characters begin to realize that they don't have to be bad people when they're raised by bad people, and through the powers of love, friendship, and petting a dog who may be dead, eventually all the characters come to realize that they do not wish to be
How
bad
do you
people.
not love this movie?
So, in the intro, Mal's talking about what the island is. And she says, oh yeah, the Isle of the Lost, that's where they put all the villains and the sidekicks. And it's like, these are just random people. These are the people who weren't descendants of, like, royalty.
That's right.
I think Mulan, Aladdin, both those are spectacular. And later you see other villains too, like you got Hercules in the form of Hades. I believe Captain
That's in the
Hook is
third movie.
there.
That's in the second movie.
And I think one of the things that really bugs me about it is that I hold a lot of respect for those movies. And it just seems disrespectful is the best way I can put it, the way they handle certain characters. And I think Jafar is a really good example in this movie. Jafar
I
as a
think
character.
Jafar's character is the easiest to put through rehab and reintroduce into society.
So essentially, Jafar owns a pawn shop on their segregated island, and his son Jay steals things so that he can put them in his pawn shop. Now, Jafar goes from being the most powerful man in a kingdom with magic and sorcery and wish magic to a guy with no respect
No magic.
and no power
And no Wi-Fi.
and no Wi-Fi. I think it's fair to assume that people are going to devolve into the worst versions of themselves.
But it's-
And after 20 years, he probably is a parody of himself.
And
But
I
it's-
get
it's-
that. I get that. But
it's
also
weird that
certain
the evil
characters are
clone doesn't.
completely removed from themselves. I understand Cruella de Vil's complete degradation. She was already psychotic in the movies. 20 years later, she's lost her mind.
She's mentally ill.
But for characters like Jafar, for example, they don't even seem like the same people. Jafar is menacing. He's conniving. He's vile. And I think if they had done that at all, it would have seemed that way. But Jafar just seems like a 40-year-old man who's really down on his luck.
That's because he is.
You guys, Jafar cannot pronounce Prince Ali Ababwa's name in the movie, and he calls him Boo Boo. The name of the actor who plays his son in this movie is Boo Boo.
Thank you.
I don't even think if you went on IMDb, that would be in the trivia of like
No!
800 facts about this movie.
I know, because I've read through all of those, and I just made that realization now.
Oh my goodness.
So yes, essentially, Jay, Carlos, Evie, and Mal all go
Is
to...
it Mal or Mel?
It's MAL, short for Maleficent,
Yeah,
or
yeah, remember the
French
song-
for bad, whatever you
Chance-
want to call
Chance,
it.
remember?
Did she name her daughter after herself?
Well, Evie is Evil Queen.
Yeah, is that her name? Evil name
Carlos
Evil.
is Carrello de Vil.
Carello.
Chance.
Jafar starts with a J.
J. That's
Jay
it.
Farr.
Okay.
Mal My name is Carlos de Ville. Give me your puppies.
So these 4 offspring of famous villains
Descendants.
go to a prep school where they're invited to be there by the soon-to-be king of the land, Ben, who is Beauty and the Beast's son, and they're secretly there to steal the wand, as was already mentioned.
Ben is the one who has invited them because he believes that they can turn a new leaf. So just as Belle saw something good in the beast, now their son Ben believes that there's redemption in some of the younger generations from the Lost Isle.
Exactly, that they shouldn't pay for
Their
the
parents.
sins of their parents.
So it's weird that instead of going for characters like Thumper or yeah, Chance, all the side characters are thrown into the island too, right?
Oh, that also begs the question, why isn't Dopey's son a dwarf? He's a human being.
Chance, your mom is a dwarf. Why aren't you a dwarf?
I guess.
This is getting really personal.
It's your mom too, dude.
For sake of argument.
Our mom is legally a dwarf, but they are dwarves.
Well,
she is a
they
dwarf.
don't say Snow White and the 7 legal dwarves.
Dopey is a foot and a half. We can look at them measured to Snow White. We can see the height differential.
Snow White is super tall.
We see her in the movie too.
By herself.
By herself.
Oh
She
my
points
goodness.
at things, and then
And
the
you don't
camera
get to see
turns.
her feet.
Oh my goodness. Is everyone psychotic?
So Mal is manipulating Ben, and she creates a love potion to make him fall in love with her so that she can get close to the wand. We've talked about it a number of times. We only really lean into its relevancy when it matters for the podcast, but most of the things that we watch are filmed in southern BC, where Kai and I now live. So that in this movie includes the school that they go to, which is filmed at a castle. The castle is the Hatley Castle in Victoria on Vancouver Island, and it is famously in everything. Lex Luthor lives there in the Smallville TV show. Professor X has his school there in all the X-Men movies. I wasn't even going to bring up that it's in BC, except that when Mal and Ben go on a date, they definitely go to Lynn Canyon, which is a hiking trail that I have been on this year. So it was super weird. I've been in that exact same spot. But yes, so eventually our heroes, who are the villains, quote unquote, find that they can find happiness, and they stop Maleficent when she...
By turning her into an iguana.
By turning her into an iguana. Dove Cameron plays Mal, who's the main character. She hasn't done too much stuff that I'm familiar with since these movies. She's become a bit of a singer. Cameron Boyce played Carlos, and he was easily the youngest person in the cast. When they filmed this movie, he was only 15. So a ton of this movie uses body doubles for him because he would fall under labor law restrictions about a minor recording for too many hours a day. The other 3 were in their 20s. As I mentioned, he passed away in 2019, which means that he was only 20 years old when he died, which is really sad. He's really cute and likable in this movie, and so it's sad to know that he'll never really get to be more than this. Sophia Carson plays Evie, and she hasn't done a ton since this, but the person I want to talk about is Boo Boo Stewart, who plays Jay. He's the whole reason why we got here. His dad has been in 2 movies that we've watched this year, and Boo Boo is in other things than this too. I think we've already mentioned he was in X-Men.
Mm-hmm.
He was Warpath. And he was one of the brothers in the Twilight movies. He was one of the Wolf Pack. I just like him.
We know Tim.
Everyone knows.
When we were watching the movie, Tim brought up a couple times. He's like, I think that's my favorite character.
I think I like him.
When we asked why, he's like, I don't know, he's just a likable character. Very useful information.
We never really know about the other parents or the rest of these people's families, right?
Yeah. So, like, what did they deserve to get eternal prison?
I'm pretty sure most of it was pillaging and raiding and...
Yeah, but Chance, none of those characters are attributed to Disney characters.
Yeah, they're sons.
You want to tell me that these villains had that many sons? Because
No,
they're
it's like all the
adults.
people
What
that
else is
Gaston
there to
took.
do for 20 years when you don't have Wi-Fi?
All the people... This is your second time making that joke.
It's still funny.
But, like, who's the other parent for any of these kids? Like, they all seem to be single parents.
Mal,
We find
Her
out in the
dad
third movie her
is
dad is
Hades.
Hades.
Well, that's true.
which, by the way, as a man who loves Hades as a villain in the original movies, I hate that character
Chance.
so much in the third one.
Chance, you're not allowed to talk about the third movie yet.
Yes.
I'm doing it.
We're saving it for the third
Also,
episode.
I
of the
hate
trilogy.
this
It's-
so much.
I think I have a hard time knowing if this movie is trying to be a piece of art and complex and well written, or if it's very satisfied with being
Nothing.
very cheesy. Because some of the writing, I mean, the first line that any character says is, "Hi, this is my name, and I'm Mulan's daughter." As soon as they introduce themselves, they have to say
They're
why
tied
we
to.
care about them, what Disney character they're related to. I feel like there'd be a lot more clever ways to be able to tell that through story. But it even just got me thinking, traditional Disney villains were very one-dimensional. They were evil because they wanted to be evil. They want to rule the world because they want to rule the world. The Disney villains we get now have hidden motives. So when this movie starts off with the characters stealing a lollipop from a baby and getting super excited about it.
Oh, it's so bad.
She like shows it off to everybody.
Dude, the candy I stole from a baby! Woo!
And then her mother shows up and she's like, stealing candy? And she's like, I stole it from a baby. And then her mother's like, yes!
How do you not love this movie?
For very obvious reasons. You mentioned it, that it's like, oh, this is who I am and this is the character I'm tied to.
Mm-hmm.
And it seems like a very sleazy way of forcing you to like a character, you know? It's like, oh, I really like Ursula. I should really like her daughter.
Chance.
No.
Chance
you-
is the second movie.
I don't care, Kylie. And that brings about a point where it forces into a situation where the movie's trying to trick you into liking these characters, even though they've done absolutely nothing to deserve it.
Yeah.
Dad, is it more fun to be on your side of the podcast?
Being on my side in the
It's
podcast
so much more
is
fun.
always
It's
fun.
really fun to bully Chance.
That's why this podcast exists.
Bully Chance.
Bully the Chance podcast.
I want to make a claim about something, please. There were situations where, because all the good people are wearing regular clothes, and all the villains are wearing their leather jacketed purple green pants getup, what ended up happening is there was times when two characters would be having a conversation and I would get genuinely distracted because of how jarring it is to look at the main characters.
You're picking very weird things
Yeah.
to be annoyed at in
This
this
movie-
You're like, the main characters stand out and I can't take it.
No.
That's like the whole point.
I get
And-
that that's the point of the movie, but the problem is when your art direction is so jarring that it's distracting from the characters I'm supposed to be liking, that causes problems with your movie.
I'm just saying, if you were to rewind back in time to when we watched these movies the first time, you picked a very similar thing to talk about with
Yeah.
people's hair.
Yeah.
And I'm just saying that maybe you're focusing on something so that you can villainize the movie.
Or
so that
keep
5 people
myself
in Australia-
sane.
I'm just saying, if you're gonna have criticisms of the movie, criticize the things that are bad.
You think that's good? Okay.
The
The
acting-
wardrobe is nuts in this movie.
It's actually incredible.
They
Each character
do-
has like 8 outfits.
They made
Why
like
do they have
1,000
8 outfits?
costumes for this movie.
Is it actually 1,000?
It's more than that. And so it's like, think about that. It's wild how many... The lacrosse game, their armors, all the cheerleaders, all the outfits there. Every scene, everyone is wearing a different outfit. The costume team probably was most of the $12 million budget.
Okay, if you want me to criticize something that's genuinely bad...
No, I want to talk about the songs.
Oh my goodness!
The songs.
You had
in
your
this
chance.
Yeah.
Hey, I literally didn't! You shot me down immediately!
The songs in this movie, with the exception of
The museum one.
the museum song, are so fun. And Rotten to the Core is a banger.
I hate it so much.
Rotten to the core, who could ask for more? Nothing like the kids next door. We're rotten to the core, we're rotten to the mirror. Who's the baddest of them
Such a
all?
bad
Welcome
song.
to my wicked world, rotten to the core.
Stop,
Hey,
please.
gents, can you at least do the part where they...
The dubstep
Yeah,
breakdown,
yeah,
that's
please.
so gross.
He
No, I
started
wiped
singing.
it from my brain. I do want to point out that there are a couple songs in this movie I don't like. Run to the Core, the museum one.
Hold on.
Hold on, I'm going to make a
I'm
point.
just saying I have
I'm
some
going
memories.
to give a positive about this movie for once. I don't like a fair amount of the songs in this movie, but there are a couple, like, I was thinking to myself while I was listening to it, there's a song, Ridiculous, that comes up. And I thought to myself, I'm like, if this was sang by Maroon 5, this would be a popular song.
Huh. High praise. He spells ridiculous so fast in that song that John looked over at me and I was like trying to spell it in my head. John's like, it spells ridiculous. I was like, well, yes, I know that, but...
Ridiculous.
Yeah, the songs are super fun. And I said that about halfway through the movie. I said, this movie is aimed at like 8-year-old girls. These songs are way better than they had to be. They could have done a Land Before Time grade effort and people would have eaten it up. But these songs are bangers to the point where there's a reality where I could listen to some of these songs on Spotify and people wouldn't know that they were from a Disney kids show.
Except for the museum song.
Except the music.
You can be bad as me. That one is so gross to listen to.
Yeah.
It swaps tone and tempo like every verse. It goes
Well, now-
showtimey to intimidating villain song from a Disney movie. But those two things do not meld
And then
well
it
at
goes
all.
back to Showtimey.
So what's wild about this movie is that the cast had already been figured out before they made the decision to switch to a musical. So,
Not everyone's a singer.
Isn't Jay doing those flips? He doesn't seem to have a body
well,
double.
Jay's dad is a stunt double. So I am certain that all of the agility stuff is Boo Boo actually doing that stuff. But he started booking singing lessons the month before they started filming because he needed to know how to sing to
Yeah.
do a musical that was
Yeah.
going to start in a month. It's wild to me that they landed the girls who can actually sing, but that they didn't bother telling these people, oh yeah, you're doing a musical until a month before. I question strongly if Ben is singing his songs. That does not seem like his voice. I'm pretty sure that's someone else.
Here's the thing. I'm going to make a genuine critique, and this comes back to John's point of, I don't know if this movie wants to be good or not. There are lines in this movie that are genuinely clever. Like, there's a part where Mal really doesn't want to do anything. So she just goes, oh, don't worry, I'll just have a strawberry for the first time anyways. And then she has the strawberry, and she, like, physically reacts to it. And it's a very funny scene, which you don't expect at all. And then people say the cringiest garbage ever.
I like the scenes early on when Audrey and Mal are, like, I don't know what
It's
the
a
word
cat
is.
fight.
Yeah, they're doing a cat fight. And every time they would end one of their sentences, they would go, yeah, I really like that.
They would mirror each other. It was very funny. And another mirrored part that I really liked is when Chad and Evie put their hands below their heads dreamily, and at the same time, Dewey does it sulkingly. There's a lot of good physical humor.
You remind me of that whole chemistry scene. It doesn't make sense. Dopey lists off all the classes that they're in. He never mentions chemistry. Evie signed up for chemistry intentionally and is bad at it to the point where she asks a magic mirror for an answer to a question.
Her magic mirror is just a TI-83.
That thing is so inconsistent. Evie says early on, it tells you where things are. However, it also produces light.
It can answer math questions
It can
for
answer
you.
math questions for
My
you.
favorite part was when Chad, the son of Prince Charming, is like, oh yeah, you guys are villains. And then she yells into the magic mirror, show me who the biggest jerk in the land is. And it's a picture of Chad's face.
Is Chad in the later movies? I think he
believe
is.
so.
Who said that Chad was their favorite character?
John did.
Just midway through Chad being an ass, John
think
goes,
he gets-
unpopular opinion, Chad's my favorite character.
I think he gets a redemptive arc in the third movie.
Who's
Remember
with Ben?
when Ben turns into the Beast? Spoiler. In the third movie, I feel like he's on the adventure with them, that they're fighting those possessed pieces of armor together.
No, the possessed pieces of armor was with the dance fight. With
Oh my goodness, I hate
the
them.
rival groups. They're rivals, but they realize that they're not so different by having a dance fight against a bunch of suits of armor.
Can
Do you not
guys-
recognize how psychotic we sound?
I am about to sound more psychotic. I wanted to force you guys to watch this movie to bully you and to be a really funny joke,
But you actually like it?
but I actually really want to watch more Descendants now.
Do it on your own time. Or better yet, do it with your son while I'm at college.
With my son?
Your other son.
Dad, it's way more fun to get a chance to watch Descendants movies than I thought. We should do this more often.
Every Friday.
We don't even live in the same province anymore. Going cross country just so I watch Descendants.
That's a fun idea.
No.
Does anyone have anything else they want to talk about, or do we want to go
It's
to closing?
weird because we haven't talked
What
about
time is
most of the plot. We haven't talked about Mal giving Ben a love cookie and then Ben not needing the love cookie and he still loves her anyways.
Or the hate brownie.
Or the hate brownie that she gives him.
Or Mel giving people great hairstyles. Or Mel giving people bad hairstyles.
There are so many things I want to talk about that I hate about this movie.
Okay, as a movie where it is pivotal to the plot that someone gives someone else a cookie, Kylan.
Yeah, I know. I
What
was
is this
saving it.
movie's review?
It's obviously a love potion cookie. You didn't have to talk about it.
Is there hidden context there? Like, when you were eating this cookie, you thought you would hate it, but then you fell in love with it.
I fell in love with annoying Chance.
You fell in love with Chance's tears.
Which
in
were the requirement for the cookie. You need a tear of sadness.
Isn't it great that we're doing
When
this?
Chance cries, I enjoy myself.
Isn't it great we're doing this?
I have really enjoyed it. All right, John, over to you. Talk to us about when are you gonna watch this movie again?
When am I going to watch this movie again?
I don't think you have a choice.
Well, I didn't anticipate ever seeing this movie again. I'll admit that I've always been very on board for getting under Chance's skin with Descendants. I remember Tim has an Alexa, and we would sometimes just whisper, Alexa, play Rotten to the Core. And Chance would hear the first few notes.
And he would immediately go, Alexa, stop! Alexa, stop! Oh, actually, sorry viewers who have an Alexa, don't call it by any other name. just in case they have it named differently.
Alexa,
Sorry.
play Rotten to the Core.
That's paying it forward.
I want people to know my pain.
It was very fun revisiting this movie with the three of you and getting the sighs and eye rolls from Chance, pretending to not like it. But apart from the four of us, the movie doesn't really carry a lot of meaning to me. It's more so the teasing Chance that brings the memories and the emotions. Mm-hmm. So I'm not going to rewatch this movie unless
I'm there.
we decide when Chance is like 40 that we want to...
On my
Happy
deathbed.
birthday!
You're going to be on your deathbed at 40?
If I watch Descendants again, I might be. I have a stress-induced heart attack.
Well, like, we're watching these every 5 years. Can we agree?
No.
that-
No.
You got a little bit scared when I said Chance is 40 because that seems too far away.
Yeah.
Ted, I want you to recognize in 5 years, it is very reasonable that I can be married and have children.
They
They
want to
love
watch
it.
this.
No!
They love
I am
it.
not subjecting my children to this movie.
I will. I'm gonna come and babysit your kids.
You're gonna come
and
with
get
a
them
grocery
addicted to Descendants.
That's gonna come with
and
a...
they're gonna be like, "Please, Dad, let us watch Mel. Please, let us be rotten to the core."
That is kind of what I did with Chance and Kai growing up. I kind of pushed things on them that I liked.
I would like to make a closing statement.
Yes. Where does this fit on your scale of -5 to +5?
What were we talking about? You said something the other day about achieving a 6 on your 5-point scale.
This is not a 6. We made a point that I've graded lots of movies a 5, but if it was possible, a 6 would be the perfect movie.
So let me remind the listeners that this started off by being a scale from 1 to 5.
I never said I wanted it to
you
be a 1
said
through 6.
that there was no need for a 10-point scale if you could have
The point of the argument was
scale.
that a 6-point
Now-
scale was impossible and didn't make sense. But you guys are acting like, oh, now he's a 12-point
Now
scale.
he is a
because 6 is on both.
13-point scale.
I'm saying it's ridiculous to have such a value. Okay.
Chance is
This
trying
movie.
really hard to not put this in a negative position. He's trying
I'm
as
putting
hard
it in
as
a
he
negative position.
can to put it in 0. That is his goal.
As of right now, I was in a position before watching this movie where it had been long enough. I think Dougal probably had a similar effect on you, where after not watching it for long enough, eventually all that remained was the terrible humor you could associate with the pain.
Okay, yep.
And so before we went into this movie, I probably would have given Descendants a better ranking. I probably would have given it like a -3 or something. But after just
-4.
watching the movie, what's ended up happening is all that blissful, oh, it's just a stupid movie has turned into, this is a stupid movie. And I cannot see giving it better than a -2.
Maybe the video game they were playing?
Okay, that brings a smile to my face.
-3 it is!
I love that sequence so much. This movie is a -2. If you want to make fun of bad iCarly made-for-TV movies, and you like doing that, go ahead. But
This movie is so much fun, viewers. Alexa, play Rotten to the Core. It is so much fun.
I remember
Echo, play Rotten to the Core.
this
Siri, play Rotten to the Core.
Hey Google, play Rotten to the Core. Computer, play Rotten to the Core.
Okay. I think that there are talented writers behind this movie who are screaming for the opportunity to write something good. But ultimately, The Descendants is a choked out excuse of what could have been a good movie. At best, it's a -2.
Do you remember they have live wires in this movie, Kai?
Yeah! They have live wires!
You know, sometimes I think I really add a lot to this podcast. Sometimes. You know, it's really bad when
Live
your
wires
girlfriend
are
says you're
Kylan's-
not the favorite part of this podcast.
And I'm theorizing, I don't know if it's recent enough, but in the back of that limo, those look like sweet tart ropes.
For the listeners at home, her favorite is John. Just so you know.
And Kai's talking about his favorite candies that are in a scene in this movie. I will be completely straightforward with you, Chance. You are right. There's potential here that was not met. These ideas could have made a better movie. You saying that this is the same as iCarly Schlop is incorrect, though. Is it tacky? 100%. Did they lean into it? Yeah, for sure. Everything is over the top and ridiculous, and I love it. Like John, I'm not going to watch this by myself, but I had foresight. 5 years ago, I bought these movies. I didn't rent them. I bought them. So that means whenever we want, we can watch them at no cost. I'm going to wait for you, son. I won't watch it without you. And I love that there's an animated movie that we haven't watched yet. It'll take us a little while to get there, but by the time we do, the Rise of Red movie will be ready too. So we've got so much content ahead.
Does anyone else feel sick, or is that just me?
Just know that the next 18 episodes of Bullied Nostalgia are on Descendants.
What is our next episode on?
Chance, would you rather more Descendants episodes or Land Before Time episodes?
Oh, this is big. Land Before Time are animated, but everything about them is worse. Compare the songs, even the songs you didn't like in this movie, to Conserve Water, the Santa Triceratops.
Why can't we do
funny.
Batman Forever again?
Batman Forever is one of our worst episodes, Chance.
I hate that Dougal did so well.
Yeah, there's a reason why Land Before Time is our best episode.
No, Dougal is.
Oh, like number of listens?
Mm-hmm.
They're both up there. Quest for Camelot is up there, though, too.
There are
Yeah.
better wells to dig in for content, and I don't think Land Before Time or Descendants are it.
I think
Might
we
just be
all
it.
agree that you're wrong.
If you think Chance is wrong, send an email to bullypod@gmail.com.
You know
Or
what?
better yet, if you think he's wrong, don't send an email to BullyPod.
If our viewership...
No, don't do that. Please send us an email.
No,
Yeah,
then we
no,
assume
you
that
know what?
everyone thinks he's wrong.
I
Don't
will
send an
make
email.
a blanket
We got 0
statement.
emails, which means the whole world thinks you're wrong.
I'm making a blanket statement. If we get double our highest amount on this, I agree to watch every single Descendants
Dad,
thing.
this is so easy. We just have to watch this podcast over and over and over
Like,
again.
thousands of
We
times.
have that in spoken word.
Tell your friends, tell everyone you love, this is the episode to listen to. We all want this.
Do we really?
Yes.
I would watch every Descendants movie for this podcast over one more Land Before Time.
Oh my goodness.
Maybe that's how I get out of this, is I just arm the Descendants people against the Land Before Time people. John, he's trying to take up your valuable screen time for Land Before Time with his own franchise. How could he do that?
Well, listeners, you know where to find us for your recommendations.
This
Don't.
video.
We're the worst people for recommendations. Never listen to us.
No, I'm saying they can tell us if they want to do Land Before Time or Descendants.
We are starting a poll. Land Before Time or
I
Descendants.
can do polls on the podcast. I've never done it before.
Please tell me you put an other option and don't leave it to just 50-50.
Other than Descendants, it's just a one option poll. Oh, 100% of people have picked the only option. That's weird.
Chance, I could be on your side.
You're not about to start
It's
bargaining
not worth
Land
it.
Before
It is
Time.
not worth it.
I can be
As
anti.
if you're any better.
I
I'm
can,
playing
This
devil's
is better.
advocate.
This is
I
way
can
better.
be be anti-Descendants.
I love this
I'm going to
episode.
make-
all you need to do.
I
No,
love this episode.
I am not in
This
the
is
center
my
of this.
favorite episode of the whole time.
I want to watch more Quest for Camelot or
So,
other
Chance,
junk like that.
here's the issue.
Stuff that makes me hurt to admit that it's bad.
So,
Not
Chance-
stuff that makes me cry in my sleep.
Descendants is making you cry every night? That sounds like soggy nostalgia to me.
Those tears I've been brewing into love potions, and I've been feeding them to him every single night.
Can we please turn this thing
I
off?
love this episode. This is awesome.
Okay, look
I
out
mean-
for weirdos. Praise
Praise Beethoven.
Beethoven.
Hey guys, we're rotten. Rotten to the core.
The sun is shining, but the ice is slippery. What callbacks do we have at this point? I don't even care.
Dougal, something Dougal related.
Dougal.